semesters ago spoken for about 400 students that have been taking the software engineering course with me. One of the things that I asked them to do is to complete journal entries, to talk about their experiences and to share some of the impressions that they got. They don't all get it. A lot of them, he presents these programs using this funny notation, and he's very careful about talking about the proof, and a lot of them just don't get it. But many of them do, and I am incredibly grateful to him for continuing to share with these students, and I'm hopeful that even though he's in retirement, I may be able to talk him into perhaps doing it some more in the future. So thank you so much for everything you've taught.
Next, from the UT Austin Mafia, we'll hear from Vladimir Lipschitz.
Many people talked during the meeting today and this reception about the influence that the possibility to learn from Edsger had on their professional work. And most of these people actually met Edsger first when they were young, when they were students. With me it was different, because by the time I first met Edsger, I had been doing mathematics for something like 25 years. And I want to tell you that it didn't make any difference. Once I started listening to what Edsger was saying, it affected my work in many ways, and I started doing mathematics and writing it and teaching it in different ways. But what was even more important for me is something that Edsger said once when he talked to a group of students. He talked about the university as an institution, about the place of the university in the society in which we live. And he explained that universities encourage us to think freely and to speak up without fear, no matter how paradoxical or strange our conclusions can be, to the degree to which no other institution does. And this helped me understand how fortunate I am to be able to spend my life in a community like this. Thank you, Edsger.
One wonders if they were told they had to sing for their supper. Next, from UT Austin, is Vijaya Ramachandran.
I first visited Austin 12 years ago in the spring of 1988 when I interviewed here for a faculty position. The first person I met during this visit was Edsger Dijkstra, who received me at the airport and took me to my hotel and graciously spent some time chatting with me in the hotel lobby. I was at that time an untenured assistant professor, and needless to say, I was quite overwhelmed by this extraordinary welcome. So I guess it's not surprising that I accepted the offer from UT Austin. Soon after I joined UT Austin, I was happy to be invited to join ATAC. I must confess that in the initial stages, I was rather mystified at its purpose. After all, I had come to Austin from the outside world of American computing science, and everyone knows of Edsger's opinion of American computing science, for instance, in EWD 1157, EWD 1209, EWD 1284. Since I am a theoretician, I did not bear the brunt of Edsger's scathing remarks on American computing science. But still, I was an American-style theoretician, and those first few ATAC meetings were a culture shock. However, over the years, I have gained an immense appreciation of Edsger's goal of pursuing simplicity, and I have tried to apply it wherever I can. I must confess that even today, I will forge ahead with an ugly proof if that is the only way I'm able to prove a result. However, thanks to Edsger, I will strive that extra day to look for a simpler and more elegant proof. On the personal side, I've appreciated the warmth and openness of Edsger during my years here in Austin, and I've also enjoyed the hospitality of Ria and Edsger at various occasions. Thank you, Edsger and Ria.
So Edsger is retiring from the arduous career of being a university professor, presumably to devote lots of time to research and writing. Doug McElroy, the next speaker, is somebody who retired from that kind of a nirvana, that is being a researcher at Bell Labs, to a university, to Dartmouth College. Doug?
I'm sorry, Vlad, I have to trump you. I met Edsger Dijkstra in 1964.
Well, you got taller.
Yeah. It was at the Formal Language Description Languages Conference at Baden bei Wien in Vienna, attached to a meeting of WG 2.1, which was beginning to do battle over Algol 68. I was there as an observer representing PL1, perhaps the last time I really enjoyed working on something complex. I was seated in a back corner at a table, and as an observer, not allowed to speak unless spoken to during the 2.1 meeting. But following that came the conference. There were a number of luminaries whose name I recognized because all of them had signed the Algol 60 report. There were plenty of others. The first time in that meeting that I became conscious of Edsger's acerbic side was during a talk by Schützenberger. Edsger had not by that time learned the trick of taking a seat on the aisle so that he could get up and steam around a little bit before giving his comments. He spoke up from the middle of the audience after a talk on free monoids and said, "Do your strings have end markers?" To which Schützenberger, in a most angelic way, looked to the heavens and said, "I'm not talking about strings. I'm talking about free monoids." But it was at that meeting where Van Weingarten gave a talk on substituting the go-to out of existence, which was an interesting tour de force in reducing the size of our vocabulary in programming languages. But, you know, it was just an interesting exercise. It could be done. The next day at coffee hour, one of the more memorable experiences of my life happened. We were sitting around a small table, somewhat round table, somewhat smaller than the dining tables here, and Edsger whipped out a napkin and started writing. He had seen far more in Van Weingarten's talk